Hi guys, quick update here for YouTube. It's 5th of August 2025, Tuesday. Hope everyone's doing great. If you want to join the group, everything's here. It's cheap over 3 months. If you want to learn how to trade, analyze and invest in these volatile markets, you can take the masterclass, the greatest masterclass on the face of the planet there. And there is a mini version here and the mortgage amortization course here. We're going to hopefully get the part 2 out before the end of the year. It's been delayed now over 2.5 years. So if you want to know more, just come and join the group. We cover everything from stocks, commodities, forex on more of a swing trading basis, but obviously there are day trading and more longer term investing strategies there too. So if you want to know more, just come and join the group. Now let's start off with the S&P. So as you guys know, we were buying at 5,000, sold into this kind of strength here. We said SPXL, while everyone else was panicking, was going to go to 190, and it's pretty much at 190 now. So there's very little risk and reward, right? So, you know, as we always say, let's say you buy at 0, your stop's at -2, and your reward is 10, right? So I'm going for 10 and I'm risking 2. So I'm getting a 5-to-1. During the life of that trade, it goes to 8. Let's say my target still stays the same, and all I do is move my stop to my break-even position, which a lot of retail traders do. Well, now I'm risking, 8 to make 2. Right? So we would all risk 2 to make 10, but we would never risk 8 to make 2. I've suddenly gone from a 5-to-1 risk-reward ratio to a 0.25 or a 1-to-4, right? The point being, dynamic risk and reward over time, if you were to put it on a Y and X, dynamic risk and reward, it kind of looks like this. So hopefully everyone understands this. You don't need a rocket scientist degree to understand what I'm saying. The most amount of money is made in the first part of the move. Then you make a little bit of money, and then you're making very little money at all. So SPXL is a perfect example of that, especially when it's leveraged. Now, this can still go towards 210 as we have established, but the bulk of the money is done. So we don't really care. This could go to 0. So when we sell in the group, we're very happy for that asset to go to 0 the minute after. There are too many things to be worried about here, to constantly be worrying about our own positions after we sell. Now, has the S&P topped? Are we going to undergo a grand supercycle crash from here? Incredibly, the answer to that would still be no. We know exactly when this market is going to top and where it's going to top. For the sake of YouTube, we've said for the last 2.5 years, we're going to 4/6s. Now, could we play out this correction a little bit more? Sure. I mean, it could just bounce up from here, given that everyone's FOMOing in, postman pat the milkman. If not, they could convert it into a bit of a inverted head and shoulders type of thing, a bit of a bull flag, and ultimately we still go higher. From here, the index is not going to crash. From here, we're still gonna push higher, but as we've explained, dynamic risk and reward. The swing traders, since the first YouTube video, and frankly since 08 when I first started investing, they make all the money, right? Longer term investors don't make money, and the day traders don't make any money. It's the swing traders who are able to play all of these swings, because within this there is tremendous opportunity. So S&P still higher. Obviously we're getting very close to a top here. Coinbase, we've gone over this. It's broken the IPO high, broken the all-time high. As we say, risk and reward are pretty much here on the curve, and we have this is not worth the risk, reward, or the effort, right? There's 3 opportunity costs: time, emotion, capital. It's not worth the time, it's not worth the emotional stress, and it's not worth the capital allocation, right? We're at the rate, on the curve here where there's very little, frankly, the curve's so flat on Coinbase, it's about to go down, right? There's very little risk and reward, and we've identified that weeks and weeks ago. So we take part in the bulk of the moves. We were buying here at 36 while the whole world was panicking. We bought Nvidia at 40, stock adjusted. Western Alliance we bought at 8. So if you've not been in the group, the last we bought here, right? Prior to all of this, we bought Zion Bank too. So if you've not been in the group the last, frankly, you've shot yourself in the foot the last 7.5 years, but especially the last 2, you've missed every single move. So, other paid group members, I don't really know what they talk about. They talk about hindsight analysis. We don't do that, right? So there's no good telling me with a 20-hour video what's already happened on Coinbase. I need to know what's happening from here. We have to read this chart from right to left. Anyway, Coinbase, very little gains to be had here. This may as well go to zero. Once again, we don't care. We're out of the position. After we're out, the whole world could end tomorrow. It makes no difference, right? You're here to buy low, sell high, and run for your life. Now, this is more interesting. This is very interesting. So we are actually long from here. I wouldn't usually give such a nugget to YouTube free of charge here, but we're going to give it anyway, given that it's been a while since we've done a video. So to me, this is more interesting and more compelling than Coinbase. The whole Coinbase story is done. No one cares. This story is not done. Now, you'd have to take the masterclass. I can't tell you which module it's in, right? You know, you have to kind of, undergo the masterclass, take on all the learning, apply that knowledge. But we have reason to believe that this is not a real high. And I can't go over it on YouTube. I can't give away too many nuggets of information. And on top of that, there's another fundamental reason, or what I would deem as a statistical reason. When Circle is going to move, it's going to move very fast. I can't tell you why. But hey, there you go. It's there. Now, could it have gone a little bit lower? Yes. We had a target from here, whilst everyone else was buying on the Genius Act, 140 to 160. So it's pretty much there. Could it make one more new low? Yes. But ultimately, I think Circle is way more compelling than Coinbase is. Now, we are actually long as of the last 24 hours. And just in case, we're shorting with call spreads and shorting with some naked puts, right? So you're allowed to do that, right? Hedging, the word hedging usually means that individual has no idea what's going on, right? Just like the hedge funds have been short the S&P since 5,000, and ourselves and Goldman Sachs have been very much long because we buy on fear, sell into that strength. We don't really care about anything else. So, hedging randomly is where you lose money, right? No good having a long common stock position and having the exact equivalent dollar value hedged. You're not going to make any money. However, when you're trying to catch the bottom, there's no harm in really having a few hedges down there, right? It doesn't have to be the entire book. Could be 40%, 30%, just in case it makes a new low. Then when there's confirmation of the reversal. So to me, more confirmation would be down here, 171. Now, they have also earnings, right? So once again, I don't want to give away too much, but we give away so many nuggets here on YouTube. We always have to look at catalysts, right? Algorithmic hedge funds usually trade over a period of 6 weeks, right? 10 years ago or 17 years ago when I first started investing right at the lows in 2008. So I know exactly where this S&P has come from. It's come from 3 6s and it's going to go to 4 6s. And we knew Dow 40,000 back in 2010 before most people listening to this were even born, frankly. We're just a glint in their milkman's eye. Now, we have to look at catalysts. Always look at catalysts. Whenever you're buying, whenever you're selling, but whenever you're buying especially, because we like to be more long than short, right? Shorting is a fool's game unless you've taken my masterclass, as is using excessive leverage. We teach you how to short, how to use leverage, but generally speaking, we want to be long. The market is designed to go up. So we're always trying to catch the turn. All the money is made, and as we've said, risk and reward, right? Now, as it turns out, this can go to 400. So if we've nailed this call on this whole dynamic risk and reward over time, right, we're like down here, right? That's the steepest curve. Now, I forget what this curve is. I think it's x over 3 or x over 1. It's not 1 over x, because 1 over x would be like this. Perhaps someone in the YouTube comment who's a mathematical genius could tell us, what is this curve again? Because I forget. My kindergarten knowledge is failing me. This is 1 over x, but, that obviously doesn't, that's not going to make sense. All the money's made right on the middle, right? So catching a turn is extremely profitable, especially as fear is an 8 times more stronger emotion than greed. Let's say you go to a terrible restaurant, you're going to tell 10 people. You go to a nice restaurant, you're going to tell 1. Why? You don't want the other 7 people cramping your style when it's date night. Anyway, confirmation of this turn would be above 171. Then the plan is to slowly close off the hedges. To me, all of that looks like an ABC. We're not of the opinion that Circle has topped. I can't tell you why. And on top of that, this all looks rather corrective. So if this is the first part of the leg, W or A, this is now the second part of the leg. What does that mean? There has to be a third part of the leg. Hence the whole 400. Now, ultimately, our target is just to run this high because we don't deem that a real high, and that's pretty much a double from where we purchased, and it always makes a good headline. You can imagine if you were to reverse engineer this, right? Because we're trying to forecast tomorrow's news today. This is the whole point. We're trying to be like the German fucker in Tomorrow Never Dies with his little iPad there, right? So when Pierce Brosnan and in his 3 series trying to save the world, right? So we're trying to reverse engineer the headline 6 weeks from now. That's our job. We're not here to, waste everyone's life away. Oh, that's a W. Oh, that's an X. Oh, that's a this, that's a that. No one cares. We're here to forecast the future with a flux capacitor. So I can imagine the headline, come Thanksgiving, oh, it's up 100% from the lows. Well, you can reverse engineer that. Now, like I said, it could still go a little bit lower, but we're here to buy at an opportunistic time. Clearly, a lot of people who have bought the Genius Act bill passing would have put their stop underneath here. So they're now down 43% off, 43%. Most retail traders won't hedge. They've never heard of options, and they will just likely buy common stock. Now, like I said, is that the most... Is that the greatest reversal candle in the world? No. So it might go a little bit lower, but ultimately we're looking at this to reverse. And now, Coinbase makes 50% of the Circle partnership. So I wouldn't be surprised if Coinbase has a relief rally. But if you're telling me out of the two of them, Coinbase is the better investment, I would disagree. I would say it's best to assume Coinbase has topped for the rest of your life, right? So that's it. That's Circle, that's Coinbase. Giving away too many nuggets there. And we've already established that this is already topped for most people's lives. So I would say if you're 15 or less, and, I suppose you take care of yourself, hit the gym 3 times a week, you're on a ketogenic diet, you get a lot of sunlight, maybe in your lifetime, I don't know, to me, even then it's hard. So, I don't think anyone less than 10 is listening to this, because it's not made for kids. I've got to always say no to that when I upload the videos. So maybe if you're 15, you really take care of yourself, you survive the end of the world, Sentinel / T2000, Terminator, World War III kickoff within 6 months. Assuming you survive all of that, maybe you'll see Apple make a new high during the rest of your life. Maybe. Even then, I don't think so. We've been out of this for over a year. Because once again, risk and reward over time, we don't care. This is going to go to 100, right? Anyone holding Apple is an amateur investor. Microsoft, we held this right to the top. To me, that's very close to a top. Could hit a $5 trillion market. And as you can see all over YouTube, before the entire world bought Nvidia, we were buying down here and down here. We said the world's most valuable company before everyone else. Now, it can still extend to 195. Then it becomes a very good short. So we have to understand, long are the days where it was an S&P 500. Since COVID, it's been more like an S&P 5. And now, it's like an S&P 2. It's Nvidia and Microsoft. Tesla, I would say, once again, is top for the rest of your life. So most of these things, like PayPal, they've already topped for the rest of most people's lives, right? So, like I said, 495 stocks, they've already been dead to me a good while ago. I'm like, is this still alive here? What's it at? I'm going to guess it's at, let me guess, 6. 6.96. Right, Zoom. Let me guess. This hit a high of 250. I'm going to guess 45. Man, I'm getting good. 62. Right, what else? These COVID darlings. Roku. Right, we've covered Roku. I've kind of forgotten about all of these. What's that UniH doing? Yeah, once again, top for the rest of your life, right? You don't go near baby boomer stocks, right? That is a grand super cycle up here. What idiot is still holding this? We got such a big problem here. Once again, we've gone over the analogy, right? This is the fruit basket, right? These are the individual stocks. We've explained this many, many times. It's very normal, and in fact, it would be abnormal for it not to happen, where the value of the stocks go down and the index continues to climb. So right now, the only thing following the index, it's not Apple, it's not Tesla, it's not 497 stocks. It's only Nvidia and Microsoft. It's very, very concentrated. And then once those two start falling, S&P's got no chance. We're going to go straight back to the COVID lows within a day. There's definitely a Black Friday, Black Monday, Tuesday. I can imagine Wall Street, if Bain gets involved from the Dark Knight here and Christopher Nolan, we could have a Wall Street guaranteed it's going to be closed for a week. During that week of panic, no one's going to be able to sell their position. So, it's always advisable never to sell at the tippity top. You have to sell on the way to the top. SPXL can now be very dangerous if the S&P starts to correct. So, risk and reward is the most important thing. It's not a static concept. So that's the S&P, that's Coinbase, that's Circle, and that's most of the stocks there about to take an old dirt nap there. Now, let's cover Bitcoin. Now, interestingly, Bitcoin is somewhat lagging from the S&P, but the idea still remains the same. We're still looking at higher prices here. Once again, I can't explain why, but on the masterclass you would know, right? So the masterclass is very, very useful. People have turned 10 grand into $10 million. That's my best student so far. And all that has occurred over the last couple of years. Because that individual has taken advantage of the training, off the education there. So we don't deem that as a real high. So longer term, Bitcoin's still bullish here. Why is it lagging so much from the S&P? Well, I've seen a situation where the S&P has corrected and Bitcoin has kind of undergone its next rally, right? So S&P still hasn't topped, Bitcoin still hasn't topped. We're still looking, for the sake of YouTube anyway, 135, 140, and then following that, you're gonna have to come and join the group. We know seasonally, August and summer, because we're right in the middle of summer here, aren't we, isn't really the most bullish time. The most euphoric time is past Labor Day, going into Thanksgiving, going into holiday season, around Christmas time. We remember 2017 very, very well. These are very, very optimistic months which are now coming in for Bitcoin here. So if you want to know more, come and join the group. I don't want to cover any of the altcoins here, but we're covering all of them. Solana, Supra, we're covering XRP, XLM, Dogecoin. I mean, we've got a full list there. I just don't want to bring up the list. And we're covering the meme coins. There's a famous meme coin here that we've been involved in from the lows. We're up 10x. That still goes higher, by the way. I don't want to give it away. So if you want to know more, come and join the group. But Bitcoin overall still goes higher. And Circle, to me, is the most compelling stock right now. Given where the S&P is, I think one has to be very, very careful initiating any new positions here. And it's never a bad idea to be hedged as well, because the S&P is very, very elevated. It still hasn't topped, obviously, but we're getting very close to a very, very big crash. So Bitcoin, like I said, the only question we have to ask here, as always, is it going to crash from here? Is it going to undergo a major crash towards 2K from here? No. Therefore, it's just a short-term correction. Now, and besides, if it was a real crash, it would already be at 90k by now, if not less. That all looks very, very corrective. WXY into WXYXZ. So one more new low, tag the 111, and then boom, we're ready to go higher. So like I said, seasonally, these kind of seasons make a big difference here. They call it crypto winter, which is slightly incorrect, but after December going into January, you do get a bit of a lull season. Then you have a resurgence in crypto prices around spring, that Easter time, but then you have like a crypto winter, like a bit of a winter season over summer, right? That's summer in the Western world, obviously, right? So, it's not like June and July are any better than let's say, January or Feb. So, March, April time, very, very bullish. We're now, going into the autumn season or the fall season as per the Western world. And, we're expecting Bitcoin to make a resurgence going into Thanksgiving. But if you're telling me between now and Thanksgiving, Bitcoin's going to be higher or lower than it is right now, it's going to be higher. Obviously, within that, it might have topped on its way down towards zero, but you're gonna have to come and join the group for when and where. So we have all the exact targets. So but from right now, it's the 5th of August, you can't say Bitcoin's going to undergo a super cycle correction from here. So very interesting times over the next 6 months. 6 months that I don't think anyone's ever going to forget. So if you need some guidance, if you need some help with the trying to navigate, trying to navigate the ship here, then come and join the group, because it's going to be like a Titanic situation here pretty soon. Anyway, if you want to know more, come and join the group.